Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo. Listen, Turbo is at a crucial point right now. That is the reality of the situation, right? The reason why Turbo is at a very crucial point is because when we look at something like the weekly, right? We can see, ladies and gentlemen, when we cut all the noise, right, all the wicks, and we simply look at the candles, right, we can clearly see that there is a weekly high over here at 0.00585. Okay, now, you know me, I've been preaching for the last couple of days that we do want a close on the weekly higher than this line. Okay, because it would be very fundamental in terms of technical analysis, right? Although things do look good, right, with other, other points, right? We have the bottom, we have a higher low over here, right? That does look pretty healthy. What would be really healthy for Turbo would actually be just closing even just like 1% higher than this high, right? And we can see when we go boom like this, we can see that this line is the main point. So in terms of percentage, right, that's really just 4.75% just to get something even. So even if we pumped like 5%, 6% on a Sunday, which is more than possible because usually, kind of halfway through the day to the end of the night, a good amount of volume starts to appear again because, countries in Asia and across the world start to open, right? There's institutions start to open. So we get a lot more volume, right? We can make it happen. We can make it happen. And like I said, it would be very fundamental because boom, right? We have the bottom here, we have a top, we have a higher bottom, which is fantastic. But if we just had slightly a higher high, that would be very ideal because that means we would still be staircase. Now we could technically close a little bit below, right? We could technically close below, but I ultimately do think that we are going to be closing above it, right? If I was a betting man, I think we would. And you know what? There's actually some proof on the hourly. We can even go on the 4-hour, which is a little bit messy, but the 4-hour already is showcasing, right? Boom, a low over here and a already higher low, right? We broke structure above this high over here. Boom, right? We broke structure above this high over here. So, we already are getting candles printing higher highs than these last relevant highs, and we are getting higher lows. So there's clearly some type of market structure shift, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be like crazy and it's automatic reversal, right? It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mean it's an automatic reversal, but at least on the smaller time frame for, a shorter period of time, we are reversing. Because even when we do look at it just purely from the hourly, right, we can see, boom, we have a double bottom. Very nice, right? Double bottom. And then we have a higher low, boom. And then we have, guess what? Another higher low, boom. And then guess what? We have another higher low, boom, right? And we also are printing higher highs. So it's looking good. Like it's looking good. It's looking promising, especially that, like I said, we only need to pump roughly, a little bit more than 5% to secure this massive win. Look, in the long run, for me, like I've been saying this, since we have been even down here, right? All of this, right? Boom, here, like here. All of this is still like irrelevant to me. I do this so you guys can have a peace of mind. I do this so the people that actually do listen to the videos and try their best to comprehend what I'm saying and trust my word, right? I'm doing this for you. Ultimately, right, I want to bring peace to your mind. I know it can be very stressful putting money into anything, right? It's very stressful, especially a meme coin. Now we know Turbo's a little bit more than a meme coin at this point, but you get it, right? Overall, putting into crypto, putting into some type of meme coin can be very stressful. I know a lot of people have the mentality of, well, you don't know if it's going to pump, right? A lot of people do believe that. And, they believe it kind of rightfully so because they just simply lack the knowledge, right? They lack the knowledge. And that's fine, right? Not everyone has to be a pro trader. Not everyone needs to put in hundreds of hours, thousands of hours into the markets, right? There's a reason why YouTube videos exists, right? There's a reason why communities exist. There's a reason why, people pay for education, right? But look, right, we are here to help, and I'll continue to be doing that. So I do believe there's going to be some type of short-term pullback to the upside, because I still do believe in this correction, right? I ultimately do still believe in this correction. And from the most fundamental standpoint, I would like to see that type of correction, because if we do get this corrected, there's a very high probability that we will not be ever coming back to this price, unless, of course, it is bear season. But that is so irrelevant for us, because we're not even like in the big altcoin season yet, right? We're not even in altcoin season. We're kind of in the transition of Ethereum making waves, right? Ethereum has been making waves recently, right? This thing has been moving. We can see it's kind of just pumping, right? July 10th, 10 days ago, it was, 2,800 practically, and it's almost up $1,000 in 10 days. So we can see the momentum has been insane, right? Bitcoin has been struggling a bit. Bitcoin dominance has been struggling a little bit. So this very well may be the preparation for altcoin season, right? Of course, we still have to monitor things. And you know what? Since this is relevant for my Turbo holders, for my Turbo family, right? This is a very key important zone. This is a very, very big zone. This is kind of very similar to what we experienced all the way down here when we did have those November to December dips, okay? Right, this is context looks a little bit different. It looks like, there's a high chance that we do not hold and continue to drop, right? But, I'm not gonna, jump the gun just yet and say altcoin season is around the corner. I would like to see this melt a little bit more before I am confident with the call, right? At the end of the day, right, even if I was wrong about the call, let's say it just went up a little bit just to slam lower, and then, it took another week of confirmation, that's not really going to make a difference to us yet, because the big rally for Turbo is going to be this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you see this? It's this whole rally, this movement, right? It's not necessarily the beginning. The beginning is more of a recovery, if anything, but it's this huge rally where we drop like 30, 25, 35% in a matter of 4 to 6 weeks. So, like I said, being a little bit more cautious, needing a little bit more confirmation for something like Bitcoin dominance does not hurt anybody. But yeah, we'll continue to monitor it. And if Bitcoin dominance does, kind of hold its ground, then ladies and gentlemen, we will have another leg to the upside, right? Bitcoin will most likely have another leg to the upside. And then once we do finally start melting, that's probably going to be the official phase where, things like Ethereum will break out, which will obviously help Turbo. Turbo will most likely then already be probably around the all-time highs, somewhere over here or even higher at that point. Now, for me, would I rather have Bitcoin dominance go down now and just all of us cash out, let's say over the next 2 or 3 months? No, I still actually would rather wait 5 to 6 months if I needed to. I still rather have one more push to the upside for something like Bitcoin, for something like Bitcoin dominance, so that we can have even a bigger altcoin season. You have to understand, right? If Bitcoin tops out right now around what was like 125,000, a little bit less, and altcoin season happens, we're still gonna have a fantastic altcoin season. Don't get me wrong, okay? But if Bitcoin says, oh, you know what, we're gonna have actually one more leg to the upside, and we're gonna be kind of going consistently up over a span of a month, month and a half, and then we're gonna slow down, and then we're gonna dump, ladies and gentlemen, your turbo bag will be extra big, right? If the destiny for Turbo, let's say, was 10 billion market cap from, Bitcoin's highs now and everything kind of transitioning, then, if we do get that extra 20, 30, 40K into Bitcoin and then it dumps, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you that's going to be the difference of another couple of billion market cap, right? That might be the difference between 10 billion market cap, for example, and 15 billion. Okay, that's an extra 50% more profit. So I would rather wait. I really, really would rather wait just a little bit more, since, you know what, we've already waited so long, right? So what is it to us at this point? An extra month, 2 or 3. Okay, so yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. Turbo, let's have another little push for Sunday. let's close above this zone up here. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it is looking good. It is looking fantastic. I love Turbo. I love the Turbo community, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.